On this week's episode of Happy Homemaking with Heidi from Heavenly Minded Home. A clean home in just 15 minutes, a life-changing adjustment, simple menu planning, inspiration from kitchens past, and encouragement for lovely mealtime. So welcome, friend. Let's get homemaking. Now, this video is for those of us who like having a clean home. We like things being put together, being nice and neat and all of that wonderful stuff. But sorry, I don't want to spend all day cleaning. I want to go live my life and enjoy the things that I find lovely that I want to be doing. And so this is how I'm keeping my house clean with just 15 minutes of work each day. Before you get started, we have just 2 simple steps here to set you up for success. The first one is to list out all of your rooms. I promise this is helpful. Even if it's just putting it in a note on your phone or a piece of paper that you're gonna stick up on the fridge. I found it really helpful to list out my rooms. Now, I spend 15 minutes per day. I will say that if you really want this to be super duper successful, go and watch our series, Redesign Your Life. I will link it down below, and that shares with you the exact process I went through to super minimize, super clear out, and get rid of all the junk and the excess. Now, this system here is how we're going to be able to maintain this and keep this going. The second thing is, before you get started with your 15 minutes, be sure to gather up your supplies. It makes it so helpful to just kind of have what you need put together. You're absolutely going to need a basket of some sort. You're going to need whatever cleaning supplies. I use my favorite non-toxic cleaning supplies. If you guys are looking for some natural and non-toxic alternatives to the junk that they sell us in the big box stores, be sure to check out the link down below. I share my favorite products with you there. And then I always have things like my vacuum mop or my stick vacuum or whatever it is that I might need to complete the tasks that I know I'm gonna need in that specific room. So breaking it down by room, having your specific supplies ready to go. These are gonna be key factors to set you up here for 15 minutes of deep cleaning and getting your spaces done quickly. So getting started here, you are going to pick room number 1, wherever it is that you're going to get started. You are going to grab your basket. You're gonna have your supplies ready to go. You are going to work in a clockwise rotation in this space with each of the steps that I give you. So pick one area, work your way around so that way you're not jumping all over the place and wasting time. Put on some music and set a timer for 15 minutes. The first thing we want to do is we're gonna have our basket in hand. We are going to start at point A, go in that clockwise rotation, and anything that does not belong in that space, put it into the basket. We're not gonna get distracted and go put it away now. We're not gonna keep kind of running back and forth and, kind of get lost in alphabetizing all the DVDs or something like that right now. Everything that doesn't belong in that space, whether it just needs to go to a different room, it's, toys or laundry or something that shouldn't be there, it's trash, it's something that needs to be dealt with, whatever it is, you're just gonna put it into that basket so that it can get dealt with, but you're not gonna stop right now. Key point, okay? So grab our baskets. Anything that doesn't belong in the space, let's flop it in there. We have everything that shouldn't belong in that room placed into the basket. We're gonna set that off to the side. It is a great time to maybe holler for the kiddos and say, hey, last chance, any toys or things that are yours that are in here, now would be your time to grab those and put them away. So that's a great time for them to do that. You are going to grab your cleaning supplies and you are going to work from ceiling to baseboards. All of the vertical surfaces are going to get nice and cleaned. So whether that's having a duster on hand, I personally have one of those cedar spin mops that I use just for my walls, and so I put some of my favorite, again, just natural non-toxic cleaner in there with some warm water, and then I just have that ready to go. So if I need to wipe down the walls, I'm doing that. If I'm just kind of spot cleaning and touching stuff up because they're really not looking too bad, I just have a cloth with some of my favorite natural home spray as well. So whatever it is that you need, we're gonna start in one spot. You're gonna hear me say this over and over again. Work in a clockwise rotation so we're not jumping all over the place and getting distracted. Top to bottom, let's clean those vertical surfaces. Now that we've we've tackled all of the vertical spaces, we are going to keep on moving right along, starting from the highest things down to the lowest things. We are going to clean all of the horizontal surfaces. So we're going to wipe stuff down, we're gonna dust it off, we're gonna tidy it up, whatever is required for the specific room that we're in. We're going to tackle down the horizontal things, but make sure you always start from the highest to the lowest. The last thing you wanna do is to be moving dust onto spaces that you just cleaned. So horizontal surfaces, let's go tackle them. We want to go ahead and finish up with cleaning the floors as we move out of this space. So depending on what room you're in, I know if you just need to give it a quick vacuum. I have my vacuum mop that I love so incredibly much because it means I don't have to prep the space first. I can just do it all in one. Our whole house is solid surfaces. So being able to not have to sweep and then mop and pull stuff out, I just get my vacuum mop. It makes it super quick and easy. But whatever it is that you need to do, go ahead and get those floors clean. If you're just kind of, spot cleaning and touching up, that's great. If you need to really move furniture and get that done, work accordingly. But let's finish up those floors and get this space looking good as our timer is about ready to go off. The timer should be going off, but our space should be looking great. Again, if you really want to set yourself up for success, be sure to check out that Redesign Your Life series we just did, where we really went through everything from deep interpersonal stuff to just literally the space around us to minimize and clear out the clutter and chaos in our lives. The less you have in your space to have to deal with, the easier it'll be to get this all completed in 15 minutes. Now, if you're just finding this, you haven't done that yet, it is okay. You might not be able to get the entire room done in one 15-minute cycle, but that's all right, right? You can take 15 minutes per day to work on a space. We want to make sure that while you're doing that process, you can feel free when you're putting stuff in the basket, anything that really isn't serving your family right now. It's excess. It's something that's just frustrating. There's too much. The more you clean it, you're like, this is ridiculous. Why do I keep fighting with this? Put it in the basket, right? It's a great thing to go ahead and then you can put it in the back of the car, drop it off when you're out and about in town and you go by the thrift store. You can drop it off, let it go be a blessing to someone else. Remove any excess that's not serving your family right now. While you're in your space and you're doing that, instead of going in thinking you need to buy more or, oh, I need this or let me add this to the list, maybe there's something in your room that you can kind of shop your own home and reuse and repurpose things in your space to make them better serve you and your family in this current season. I think it's also really important as we're finishing up our space to leave a yummy smell, right? There's something that always feels so nice when you've gotten a space nice and clean and tidy, and then it smells good. I know for me, that's why I love using my natural cleaners. They have a great scent, but it's not a bunch of toxic, nasty fumes that you're breathing in. And I always light my lampe berger as I'm leaving the space. I love candles and wax melts and incense and all of those things. We're always looking for a great, natural, but long-lasting scent. And I found these lampe bergers from France, and they are the best things in the whole wide world. I'm telling y'all, they purify the air while they work, but they're also a natural fragrance and they smell delicious. And then I also like to set the tone of the home by leaving some soft music playing. So after I've got the space nice and clean, maybe I've had a little more, kind of fun, rambunctious music while I was cleaning. Now it's time to set the tone of the home. I usually put on one of my hymns of the Homemaker, just soft instrumental music that can play in the space. It smells great, it looks great, and it just feels like such a wonderful and inviting place to be in. everything nice and clean here. We took 15 minutes of our day to get our space in order. You have the basket that you gathered of just random odds and ends. Hopefully the kids have gotten their stuff picked up out of it. You can sort through what's trash, what needs to be donated, right? What needs to be dealt with. Go ahead and finish that up. Get that done and taken care of so that way it's off your plate. You don't have to worry about it. It smells good. It feels great. You've got soft music playing, and the key point, and only spending 15 minutes a day cleaning, is now to go and enjoy your day. Sit down, maybe have a cup of tea, read a book, get outside, go do something you enjoy doing, play with the kiddos, work in the garden, go for a walk with your hubby, whatever it might be. Go and enjoy your day and know that tomorrow you'll pull out another 15 minutes, you'll tackle another space, and it's all going to be okay. Life is lovely and truly worth living. So let's get out there and let's live it, and not just constantly be burdened by all the things on our to-do list we need to do. Amen? Key point is so huge. I wish I could tell every single woman in the whole wide world that if you understand this one concept, you will literally make your life so much easier. I'm not even kidding. It can be applied to literally any area of your life, and you're going to see a huge impact. Now, I've been a wife and a mom for 20 years. I started off on my 18th birthday moving into our first apartment with my husband, our newborn baby. I had no idea what I was doing, to be honest. No clue whatsoever. And the lesson that I think I learned the hardest of all was this key point, that the biggest thing to impact your life right now is to tap into the power of simplicity. Yes, simplifying is the secret trick that you can keep in your back pocket to pull out in any circumstance and immediately make life so much easier. I promise you, so hear me out. And I honestly mean this. There's so many ways you can apply this, whether it is financial stress, it is work stress, it is relationship stress, it is just the clutter and chaos in your house and the things you have going on and trying to keep up with all of it, right? Simplicity is key. And when we understand the power of tapping into simplicity, you're going to see huge benefits. I started to notice this in just the commitments, right? There's so many things that we have in life between, us and with things with our husband, work-related things with the kids, with school, with whatever it might be that we have. The more we add onto our plate, the more difficult life gets. Let's just be honest. Why do you think movies and even people on YouTube, we have this like romanticized image of life, and it is so simple. It's the simple joys, the simple beauties, right? Like not being rushed, not being hurried, not having all these things on your plate. So when it comes down to your time, you can tap into that power of simplicity. Really cut back the things that you don't need to have on your plate. Honestly, it really is so simple as looking at it and going, what do I wish I was doing less of? What do I wish I was doing more of? Usually the things that you wish you were doing more of are the simpler, most beautiful joys in life, right? Enjoying my family, not being so rushed, having a relaxing weekend, whatever it might be that you go, man, wouldn't that be nice to not have so many obligations and things that I have to be doing so that I have more time to be doing the things that I want to be doing. And those are usually the simpler, more enjoyable gifts of life. And so first you have to look at your time. Where do I want to simplify? Where is it too much? Maybe it means that you need to step out of some things. I know sometimes this can be hard for us because we look at these things and we go, oh, but they're good things. They might be good things, but our priority starts at home. And the more that we understand that, the more we prioritize our homes, our marriages, our families, our own time, it's really going to make such a difference in every other aspect of your life because you're no longer going to be stretched so incredibly thin. We can start to simplify where we're spending money. So where are you spending time? Where are you spending money? So often I have found that when seasons of life change, maybe we're going from a 2-income household to a 1-income household, we're pursuing something different in just ministry, life, stepping out in faith, whatever it is, it's a lot easier to save money than to go make extra money. Just like on the bad side of that, it's a lot easier to consume a lot more calories than it is to lose those calories, right? It's usually better to just nip it in the bud and deal with it from the get-go. And it's really that way when it comes to simplifying our finances. The less money we have going out, the less money we need, really the easier everything is, because the unfortunate reality is that so much is connected to our finances, right? How much money we have. And so it really does become, when you're trying to have this like simple life, enjoyable life, you're, living it to its fullest, it's not about having more money to do more things and have more on your plate, but it really is about scaling back and getting all the stuff off that you really don't want to have to be dealing with anyways. And so one of the quickest ways to not have that overwhelming feeling of just, you need so much and there's so much that has to be tended to, really look at where you spend your money. I encourage you today, pull up your bank ledger, right? Where has the money been going? Where are you spending money? You really can be amazed when you start going through, and I'm not talking about, oh, well, I got myself a cup of coffee once this week, right? Really look at those things that happen over and over and over again. Are you spending a ton on groceries? And you go, well, groceries, I have to feed everybody. What do you expect me to do? Something I noticed with that is by simplifying, we eat a very simple diet. We have a, very specific way that we do that. And if you want to know more about how we're eating, we're sharing all about it this week. So be sure to subscribe, turn on the bell notifications. I will give you all the details. I put in orders, right? I sit down, I menu plan, I meal plan, I type it all in, I put it into my online shopping. So I'm not going into the store all the time and then picking up odds and ends, right? While I'm there, I sit down, I look at my budget, I see what's there, I put it into the app, done deal, right? I'm not spending extra. There's so many different ways that by simplifying the process down, really streamlining it and looking at it, you can save so much money. So look at your subscriptions, look at the places where you're spending money consistently. Maybe even look at your existing bills and go, okay, where can we simplify? Where can we be spending less here in these areas? And that makes life all around simpler and lovelier. And one of the biggest pieces here when it comes to the power of simplicity with the sheer amount of stuff. It is so difficult to just live in this lovely, romanticized, simple life where you're stopping to smell the flowers and doing all the beautiful things and just enjoying and feeling rested and all of those wonderful things that, of course, we want to be striving for, when you feel like you're drowning in the stuff, when there are so many things everywhere that you honestly can't even keep up with them. So yes, simplify the obligations and where you have to spend your time and all the things you have on your plate. Simplify the money, right? The full-on stress of the financial strain of things in your life, but then tackle the physical things around you. Going through our home, even room by room, closet by closet, drawer by drawer, and going, what do I actually need here? What are the items that are truly serving and blessing our home, our family in this space that we need to hold on to? And what things can I let go of? What things can I let go and be a blessing to someone else? Now, I just did this whole thing. We did a whole series here. I went through my entire house and shared it with you all. We have the things we need and really not much else. We have clothing that we need, not a bunch of extra, right? I'm never overwhelmed in laundry. Cleaning my house is so quick. It doesn't take me much time at all. The kids aren't bickering with one another. They're not overwhelmed with the stuff. Being able to make those changes and, again, use the power of simplicity in this makes such a difference, because there isn't that overwhelm. I don't have all these tasks piling up around me that I just can't seem to get to, and it just lives in that mental space that overwhelms you and just makes everything so frustrating until you explode, right? You've been there, I've been there, I hate it. And so clearing the clutter, clearing the chaos, making things simpler so that I can have my whole house picked up in 15 minutes time, so that I can spend my days focusing on the things that I want to be focusing on. My kids aren't overwhelmed with the toys and the clothes and the books and all of the stuff. It's manageable. It might seem like a silly thing, but I promise you, spending some time in the forefront, investing in your life by way of simplifying the commitments, the financial strains, the physical stuff, is going to reap dividends beyond what you've ever seen before. And the more that you simplify it, the easier that you're going to make it for yourself. So I can sit here and say this stuff over and over and over again. And you know I'm going to, because I believe in simplicity so much. It makes such a huge difference. And that's why I want to leave you with resources. I want to leave you with things that will help you go through your space, break it down, right? Tap into that power of simplicity to really transform your life. If you would like to tap into those resources to be able to walk through the space, clear out the clutter and chaos, and really start building your life up in a way that is what you've always wished it would be, then that's there for you. And I truly do pray it can be a blessing. I know it was for me to go through the space and do all of that, to continue to guard where I'm spending my time, my money, and what literal stuff I'm letting come in and consume me. It makes such a difference. And I know I enjoy doing it. I get so much from it when I do it, usually each season, all throughout the year. But now is a perfect time for you to get that great feeling as well. And so I'm gonna leave you some resources down there because I want you to see just how powerful simplicity is. So I don't know about you guys, but I hate the what's for dinner game. Have you played that game? It's where all of a sudden you realize that it's like the end of the day, you gotta feed the tiny humans. Yet again, you have no idea what anyone's going to eat. No one can decide on anything. You have nothing in the house, you're running around, and then you end up eating like cheap junky pizza or something like that, and then you get that mom guilt. Yeah, me too. This is what our family does to banish the what's for dinner game and to start eating our ways healthy and fit, because nutrition is important and sorely lacking in our day and age. Now, I do not claim to be perfect at this because our family falls into those traps as well quite often. But when we do these things to set ourselves up for success, it really does take a little bit of planning, and it gives us those great results when we're not having to play what's for dinner. We're not going round and round. This isn't an overwhelming process. And so I think this is something that is important. In our modern day, it's so easy to just run through, get food from somewhere, throw a microwave dinner in, or something like that, and we are sorely lacking in true solid nutrition. And I think it is so important that we take the nutrition of our bodies and our children's very, very seriously. Understanding what's in our food, what we're fueling ourselves with, makes such a difference in every aspect of our lives. When you look at the rates of obesity and disease, and honestly just depression and discomfort of the common American, it really is an epidemic that we need to be paying attention to and making mindful, intentional choices moving forward. And so these are things that our family does that really helps us with this process. And I thought I would just share them here today, and maybe they might be an encouragement to you as well. One of my favorite things that we've been doing is setting themes to each day. For us especially, we are a large family. There are a lot of people, a lot of opinions that can come into our daily meals. And so kind of setting a theme to everything. We might have one day that's Mexican food, right? One day that is just eating out on the grill. One day that is something I can, a soup or a crock pot type thing. Being able to set a theme to each day, taking the favorite things that your family loves to eat and breaking them up by theme really does help. It helps in a few different ways. One, it's easier for you because for us, every Sunday is pizza day. I know that day's pizza. End of story. I don't have to think about it. I know every Tuesday is Taco Tuesday, right? Like, you can kind of break down those dates that you've given themes to, and it helps you kind of focus on what it is that you need to figure out, plan, and prepare for that day. It also helps our kiddos. Like I said, we got a big family, we got extended family. There's a lot of people we feed on a daily basis. It allows people to kind of have a heads up of, oh, hey, I know on this day we do this. I'm not a big pizza person, so I know on Sunday I either have a little something different that I want to do for me, or if I'm going to be doing fasting or whatever it is that I'm doing, I can plan accordingly. Same thing for other kids. Now, Thursday's meal might not be their favorite thing in the whole wide world, so either they might have a little something that they prepare separately, or they know, hey, I just got to get through Thursday. I really like what we have on Fridays, so I can make it through. It's all going to be okay. Setting themes is really helpful when you're trying to beat the what's for dinner blues. My second tip would be to keep a list of your family favorites. We have our little recipe book here, and it is stocked full of little note cards and recipes of our family's favorite things. There's no sense in preparing a bunch of food that everybody's going to complain about or not want to eat anyways. You're just wasting your money and time. And I know sometimes I would get on these kicks where I wanted to try all these new foods and all these new things, just to realize that I cooked a bunch of food that really nobody wanted to eat, because they have their things that are their favorites and they would prefer if that's what we were eating. Now, it's okay to try new foods, of course, absolutely, but maybe keep the tried and true favorites in your normal rotation and then kind of just mix those in instead of feeling overwhelmed like you have to constantly be trying something new. It's okay to be a little boring. I know our family absolutely is, but again, having that kind of boring base of here's what we're going to make, for anybody who does want to add a little something extra in, it can always go along with some of those tried and true favorite staples that you have worked in your weekly themes. And so going through each family member, I've honestly started with all the kids and said, okay, what are your favorite meals that we could make? And I write them all down. And then I go to my husband and go, okay, which of these are like absolute no-goes? You will not eat this for dinner. He might be the hardest one to work into the menu here. So I give him that veto power there, and we go through, and then that gives us this great list of, okay, these are the things our family really likes to eat. Maybe you have 1 week's worth of meals, maybe you have a couple weeks worth of meals, and then you can rotate them through. But finding those favorites and just kind of plotting them out on a calendar really does make it helpful to know what everybody wants to eat. Maybe give yourself a couple days in there to spice it up and try something different, and then just rotate through those favorites. And the third and most important point here is to have simple solutions for solid nutrition. Really understanding what it is that you're consuming. What are you fueling your body with? What are your children fueling their bodies with? The more we understand nutrition, the more we look at what we're putting into our bodies is really going to have such a major impact on all areas of our lives, especially children with things like ADHD, with skin issues, with different sensitivities and things. You're going to see such an improvement when you start looking at nutrition. What are the drinks you're consuming all day, right? How much water are we taking in? Are we drinking lots of sugary sodas and juices? Those things are going to have a major impact. And then we look at our food. What type of food are we eating? I know for our family, we tried going plant-based for the longest time, and the health issues we had just continued to get worse and worse and worse. I was gaining weight, I was feeling worse, kids were having issues, and it was really frustrating because honestly, nobody wanted to be eating the stuff in the first place. So then every day it was an argument trying to get my kids to eat all the vegetables. And so when our family switched to the carnivore way of eating a while back, we were amazed at the results we saw. Now our family, I will be honest, it's a little more ketovore. We spent some time going very strictly carnivore, which truly means eating just meat and animal products. We saw so many results, felt so great with it. And after some time of really detoxing off all of the hard to digest plant products we were eating, there were a few things that we did bring back into our diets, but really we stay very meat based and we feel so much better because of that. Now for our family specifically, we eat 1 meal a day. The kids have something that they can eat for breakfast. There's always something that they can have if they want a little snack or they get a little hungry, want something else. But for us, late afternoon, we eat 1 large meal. I sit down and I plot this out using the things I just shared with you. Every day has a theme. We have our main meat course that we eat in that. That's either something on the grill, something cooked inside, but that is meat. Mainly beef with some chicken mixed in there. I like to have a salad for those of us who do like to have some vegetables. We have a salad that we can add into that. Again, using very clean ingredients, not adding in a bunch of junk sugars and carbs and things, especially dressings can be tricky, but having a nice healthy salad in with it. And then always finishing off our meals with a carnivore friendly dessert, which makes it so nice to sit down and have this beautiful meal. We all come together, we eat, we feel so good and fulfilled, but not overly stuffed with a bunch of junk. And because we've really paid attention to the nutritional aspect of the food we're consuming, you feel great. You're not starving shortly thereafter because you just ate a bunch of cheap carbs and now it's all processed through your system and you've crashed and you feel miserable. So that part is really nice. Again, having this simple solution with solid nutrition makes sure that our family is fueled in a way that is going to last and be good for our bodies. Beating the what's for dinner problem is so absolutely wonderful and something I appreciate each and every day. Having those simple themes put together, taking our family's favorite meals, just repeating them week in and week out, changing as the seasons go, and having a wonderful time that we look forward to. I have our Google Home system set up at a certain time each day to start playing lovely dinner music. We all come out here, I set the table, my husband starts cooking, I start prepping stuff, we sit down and have a wonderful meal and kind of close the day of work and school and other things going on and get ready for just a nice relaxing evening together. And so making sure that our family is fueled, that we're healthy, we're paying attention to the things that matter while doing so in a way that we really enjoy it. It makes it so nice because the what's for dinner, the frustration, the chaos, the just ending up with something junky because you don't know what to do, being able to banish that to solve this issue and really make it a time of enjoyment is something that I absolutely appreciate. And I hope it can be a blessing for you and your family as well. There's not much more that I love than finding great vintage books at the thrift store. And especially as a modern homemaker, there's some amazing things that we can take away when it comes to vintage dining from wonderful resources here like the Ladies' Home Journal. And I love sharing here with you in just ways that we can beautify each and every day truly from the inside out. And one of my favorite things, honestly, is combing the thrift store for treasures. I would say that our home is a curated art shop of thrift store finds, and I love when I can find great books, especially when it is vintage books that are just full of such a wealth of resources for us modern homemakers. There's so many wonderful, beautiful things that we can find here that are such an encouragement. So lately I've been going through this Ladies' Home Journal book of interior decoration from the late 50s, and there are so many beautiful resources in this. I love all of the different tips and tricks, ideas and inspiration, even the little funny things, like they have a whole section in here talking about not allowing the modern invention of television to take over your home design. And I wish I could sit down with the ladies that worked on this book. We have so many things we could talk about. But looking at this is this week I've been working on our family's menu plan, and just I love our dinner time together each day, and nutrition is so important, all those wonderful topics that we have been sharing about in this week's episode of Happy Homemaking. But modern takeaways from vintage dining, and I kept seeing in all of these beautiful images of dining spaces some of the same elements over and over and over again. And I think we, as the modern homemakers now, all these years later, can really learn a thing or two. Now, the first thing that stood out to me was the amount of simplicity. I thought that this was so interesting. As you guys know, I'm big on simplicity and the importance that it plays, especially when you're wanting to elevate your life in all areas. But noticing here the simplicity of the spaces, be it the images of kitchens, of dining rooms, even into the other spaces like living rooms and bedrooms, but things were very simple. Even in the rooms where maybe the wallpaper or the colors were a lot brighter and more kind of visually busy, everything else was drawn back in a way that there was still these great elements of simplicity to really make the areas that needed that attention and focus stand out. And I think we can learn so much from that. I think in our modern days, we are so busy with just so much consumption, right? It's Hobby Lobby always has new decor. There's always something new that's trending. There's always some other thing we want to redo and add in, more appliances, more this, more that, right? It goes on and on and on. And what I thought was really interesting is to see here again, back in the 50s when we didn't have things like Amazon Prime and Walmart and Target, you know, just flooding us with so much stuff. I understand the world was a much simpler place as well. But looking at that and gleaning information from that of, you know what, maybe I need to simplify my kitchen and dining space. I think it is really important to come together, to have a meal together as a family, to break bread. I mean, that's one of the oldest, most intimate settings, is to come together, to gather and eat. That's so important, and I think something very lacking in today's society. Let's bring that back, and I think by really simplifying the distractions and the chaos and everything else around it, we're really going to see a major difference in our dining experience. Now, the second thing I really noticed was proper storage and stowing. Now, I do understand these images are all taken for the ladies' home journal. They came in, set everything up, did their photo shoot. I get it. But still, we see this in especially vintage kitchens over and over and over again. Any of us who live in old homes, you'll notice there's this like lack of storage, right? Modern homes to older homes, a big difference in the amount of cabinet space and storage places. And that's because there really wasn't this mass consumption and excess. There was a place for everything, and everything was in its place. I know our household, we love watching old TV shows. Honestly, because really nothing new coming out these days is worth anything, but also because the old stuff is just so beautiful and so well done. Our family loves things like Family Affair, the Dick Van Dyke Show, right? You watch those and you just see that, I get, again, they're TV shows, but still showing what it was like in that time period, you see so much tidiness. Kids knew where things went, right? Everything had its place and it went there. They didn't need tons and tons of storage to store tons and tons of excess, but everything they had was properly stowed and had its place to go. And seeing that in these images really does give me that just encouragement in my space to go, what do I actually need? Let's make sure it has a spot. Let's make sure it gets properly stowed. That's why I just went through and kind of redesigned my whole life and went through my whole space, pulled out so much, got rid of the excess. And if that's an area that you're like, I wish I could keep up on this, be sure to check out those resources down below so that you can go through the system that we just put out of, let's walk through and clear all of that out. I'll put all those resources down there if that can be a blessing, because proper storage, proper stowing, absolutely going to make a difference. Now, my third point here was really the first thing I noticed. I'm a florist by trade, so it's usually the first thing I notice in anything that I'm looking at, was that flowers were everywhere. There is not one image you see where there is not flowers, or at least a plant. But especially when it comes to the dining room, having the table set with fresh flowers on it was like a key component of having your table properly set and ready for your family and friends to dine at. Now, this is one of my most favorite things that I love doing, and I'm gonna share more with you here in this Happy Homemaking of how I set the table and get everything ready in a very simple and inexpensive way to bring this level of beautiful dining right here to our very own home with our family. And I think it's something that's so often overlooked. There is a reason why when you especially see in older movies or something like that, whenever you go to someone's house, you bring, some flowers. There was always that vase on the table, fresh flowers being put in it, flowers that could be cut right from the garden and brought in to set on the table and set the tone of the home for the dining experience. Now, even if it's just you and the family, you and the husband, whatever it is there in your home, taking a little bit of time to put some fresh blooms or even some foliage on the table as your centerpiece for dinner is always going to make the dining experience a little bit more lovely. Now, the fourth point is so simple and so often overlooked, I think, especially in American homes, and that was never underestimate a tablecloth. If you notice looking through these beautiful images and these settings, the tablecloth, right? There's something about laying a tablecloth out over a table that automatically elevates it and makes it feel like a fine dining experience, right? You think of those big, beautiful holiday meals or gatherings, right? And you think of the tablecloth laid out or going to a nice like boutique restaurant or something like that, and it's just so beautiful. Now, I personally love, you can find the best tablecloths at thrift stores all the time. I have plain white linens, I have lace. There's so many different ones that are always there for great, great, great prices. And having things like a tablecloth to lay out really just makes the space feel so special, so pulled together, so like formal and luxurious, and really is such a treat, even for the simplest of nights at home. Adding in that tablecloth is really going to bring your space up. Bonus points if you're using cloth napkins as well, as the whole thing comes together and really does feel so lovely and beautiful, but serves such a great practical purpose as well. So I highly recommend we all keep an eye out for a nice proper tablecloth the next time we pop by the thrift store. The fifth point that I noticed in nearly every single image here in the Ladies' Home Journal that we can take away here as the modern homemakers from vintage dining, and that would be everyday items on display as decor. We see over and over and over again here in these images, china patterns, beautiful teapots, platters, things that are set out on sideboards and china hutches and really used as the decor for the space. I love when I think back to the Dick Van Dyke Show, right? They have their shelves there in the kitchen that she's always grabbing the china and stuff off of, because the things that were the open shelves, they weren't simply just decorations and dust collectors, but they were everyday items being used. I love collecting china from thrift stores. I get it so inexpensively. We use it every single day in our house, and I love it because if something gets chipped or broken, it's okay, it's fine. We always can pick some more up and kind of curate our collection as we go. But my girls, I know we all love sitting down and having our little vintage teacups and our little teapots and bringing out the beautiful plates and having them doubling as some decor around the home, but still being used on a normal basis, I think is really special and neat. I think so often we feel the need to buy the latest, trends and whatever decor items we think we need, when really we can take these timeless pieces and bring them into our home, set them up to be a level of decor and display, while also using them and putting them to use on a daily basis. So friends, those were my top 5 modern day takeaways from vintage dining. Again, I love finding books like this at thrift stores. You can always get them. I think I paid 49 cents for this book, and then I got a couple more even for free. But they're so fun to take these. I love sitting down with a hot cup of coffee or sweet little teacup and sitting down and just going through these, picking up the information, reading the insightful insights, and taking a little bit of that just vintage knowledge and treasure trove of homemaking beauty and bringing it into my day-to-day life. Come and join me today as we set the table to have a lovely meal at home. Simple touches that really do make our space feel so lovely, so beautiful, for a special family meal any time of the year. Now, having a lovely dinner each day is truly one of my most favorite things. I absolutely look forward to it. And there are so many ways that we can keep this simple and actually attainable to do all throughout the week. And so you're going to quite literally come with me tonight as we set the table and get everything ready for a lovely dinner together as a family gathered right here. First, we want to make sure that our space is ready. So whether you're doing your 15 minutes of cleaning in the kitchen or just going through for a quick tidy of the space before you get started, I like to make sure that I've gone through kind of working through my steps to get everything that shouldn't be there out and put away, getting everything nice and clean, and then setting the tone of the home. I've lit my lampe berger, it smells beautiful. I turn on some fun dinner music every evening and get ready to start preparing the food and our table. I've shared our family's simple approach to meal planning, and especially eating a very meat-focused ketovore diet makes it so easy to put together our meals each day. And so I'm gonna go ahead tonight and prep our dessert. We like to have a healthy dessert every evening. It's something so wonderful to look forward to when you have that sweet little something to go after dinner. And so pudding and fresh whipped cream with some berries is one of our family's favorite. And so I like to go ahead and get that whipped up and ready to go so it can sit in the fridge and get nice and cold while we eat our meal. My husband's going to be grilling the meat tonight, and so he'll take care of that, and I will prep a nice fresh salad for everyone. difference. Like I want to do a video on the things, like everybody thinks these little like vintage homemade whatever. I'm like, you should see me when I went to clean the couch and I had to pick up a blanket just full of poppies.
Milk and cream.
We do a French whipped cream. It has vanilla added into it as well. And then while dinner is being cooked, everything is prepped and ready, I like to go ahead and set the table. Now, my favorite elements for a lovely table is to have vintage china from the thrift store. It can be totally inexpensive, collected over time. It makes everything just feel so beautiful and lovely. You have to have some fresh flowers, absolute must there, even if it's going outside, picking some flowers or even fresh foliage to put on the table. And feel free to light a few candles, even if they're little tea lights, or I've found candlesticks at thrift stores and things like that. Make it feel so lovely as you all come together. And then if you want that just like extra step ahead to really bring up your dining experience, put a tablecloth over the table. They are best found, I believe, at thrift stores. Something that's an old linen or some lace is absolutely beautiful. It makes your space feel gorgeous. Just like that, a beautiful dinner is served. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it can still be lovely. A fresh salad, some steak, lots of delicious butter and fresh herbs. It's amazing what little touches can do to really make a dinner feel special. We even picked up a fresh baguette from a local bakery and warmed that up, put some butter on it, just the conversations being had. The way I notice when I make a special dinner that everyone comes to the table and not only enjoys, but truly lingers and hangs around is so special. I love then getting up and plating the dessert as everybody is finishing up their dinner, pulling out the fresh pudding and whipped cream, topping everything with some delicious berries really is such a decadent treat. Picking up these beautiful little dessert cups from thrift stores make it feel lovely and special. And again now, hours after I began, everyone is gathered enjoying their meal. Thanks so much for joining me here for this week's episode of Happy Homemaking. Now, we have extended versions of all these segments that will be available throughout the week for you to watch. Be sure when you subscribe to turn on your bell notifications so you see them as they come out, and you can access everything right here at this playlist. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends.